What's going on, people? We are Tottenham TV. We are back. It's another game day. It is Roma Roma come to Tottenham tomorrow night under the lights. And it's a game I'm very much looking forward to. Roma under new management, Claudio Ranieri. How you feeling? You feeling confident?
Look, it's actually quite a pivotal game now, because after the loss to Galatasaray, if we don't win this game, there is a good chance we drop out the top 8. And obviously that's not a situation we want to be in, with games as well against Hoffenheim coming up away, Rangers away as well. They're not easy games. So we definitely have to make sure we get the job done on Thursday. Roma have just got a new manager, as you're saying, so it's going to be probably more difficult. But we have the quality to win, and hopefully we can build some momentum off Saturday, which was obviously an amazing day for us. So that's going to be the more important thing. We want to make sure we keep that good feeling within the camp. So I am feeling good about Thursday, about what we can do, but it's going to be interesting to see, Roma kind of turn up on Thursday.
Yeah, absolutely. So we've got an action-packed stream for you guys today. We're going to go through a Tottenham update first, predicted lineup, match preview. Very much looking forward to Spurs under the lights yet again tomorrow night. But let's start off with this Tottenham update, and we're going to start off talking about Mikey Moore. We heard from Ange Postecoglou in his press conference last week saying he's going to be out for some time. Paul O'Keefe says today that Mikey Moore still needs 3 to 4 weeks rest following his recent illness, which is a very strange situation regarding Mikey Moore. 3 to 4 weeks is quite detrimental to us in terms of such a busy period as well. It's really frustrating, isn't it?
Well, considering, Odegaard and Richarlison are long-term injuries, there's no way they're going to be back before the new year. So, obviously, this was going to be a really important period for Mikey Moore to, get some more chances, maybe more chances in the Premier League. Obviously, we've been seeing him in Europa League throughout the season. He's been performing really well. And I really think his development is, it's been doing wonders for his development at this period. So, the fact that out of nowhere he's been hit with this virus before the international break, you would have thought, he's ill. Surely after international break he'd be fit and back ready to go and ready to contribute. And the fact that he's still a month away, I mean, that doesn't sound like a virus unless it's something more serious or a really nasty virus that he's got. To be out for what's going to be about a month until, looking like if he's out for another month, that's like 6 weeks to 2 months he's going to be out for, and missing this crucial period where the burden's going to be even more on the likes of Werner, Son and Johnson to fill in that role. So gutting for him, because this would have been a great opportunity for him, and he's not like picked up an injury or something. This is something that no one could have seen coming. So I'm very disappointed for Mikey. Obviously, he's going to put more pressure on our wingers. I'm not sure he would have been starting too many games, to be honest, anyway, but he would have definitely been getting more game time, and in Europa League, he probably would have maybe gotten a couple of starts. So hopefully in January, there's still a couple of Europa League games there against Hoffenheim and Rangers, so maybe there's still some more game time for him when he comes back. But just disappointing for him, because it's an opportunity that he's just missing out on. Yeah,
I think it's going to be of detriment to the squad as well, because we've got so many games. We've got a game coming every 4 days pretty much now, until the beginning of January. And that's going to put a lot of strain on the forward players, like we know that is going to happen, because we've got the only right winger that's available is Brennan Johnson. We've got Timo and Sonny on the left, but one injury there to our forward line now. We're literally down to our bare bones.
I just think it means Decky's going to be playing more out wide. I think which he did well, obviously, on Saturday, and we know he can do that role. We know he's been amazing in the centre, and that's where we want to keep him. But he's just going to have to do a job for the team. I think obviously Brennan will probably be predominantly starting there, but I think he's going to have to be rotating with Decky on occasion to play on that side, because I don't think Brennan can play all 11 games, can he? Or start. So I think it means for Decky he's going to have to be doing that role, but means less decision making about what we do in Maddison. It means he can come back in the team, and he did brilliant. So I don't think it's in terms with Mikey Moore missing, I think that probably would have been the case anyway. I don't think he would have been looking to Mikey Moore ahead of putting Decky out wide in general. I think he probably would have put Decky there more with the injuries to Odegaard and Richarlison. But I do think, especially with the Europa League games, and I also think coming off the bench and stuff like that in Premier League, there would have been opportunities for him to get minutes here in this run, and that's not going to happen now due to this virus. So that's the biggest shame for me. In terms of how it puts a burn on the squad, I don't think it makes too much of a difference, to be honest, in terms of who's going to be starting games.
Well, I think he would have started tomorrow, and I think he probably would have started out in Rangers.
I don't think he would have started tomorrow.
Why not?
Because I think Brennan probably would have started anyway.
You don't think he could have started on the left? I mean,
I think
Mikey
Werner
Moore,
would have started.
Mikey's pretty much started every Europa League game, hasn't he?
Yeah, but Werner came off the bench. He got an assist. So I think he probably would have started on tomorrow.
You reckon?
Yeah.
I reckon he would have gone. Mikey Timo. To be fair, I don't see why not.
Because Brennan didn't start on the weekend.
I know, but keep him fresh for the weekend. Why not?
Because it's an important game.
I know it's an important game, but you got Mikey's like he's proved himself in these Europa League games. I don't think there's a reason why not to start him.
I'm not saying he's not done well. He has, but I just think I think he probably would have started with the fact that Brennan and Timo didn't start on the weekend. And if he played Decky out wide, I think he would have gone with Brennan and Timo from the start and maybe given Mikey Moore like half an hour in the second half.
But in the way I look at it is I think he would have started Mikey and kept Brennan really fresh for the game against Fulham. I mean, but anyway, we're never going to find out, are we? So that's Mikey Moore. Let's talk about Ben Davies now, which is an interesting one. Jack Pitbrook says that Tottenham intend to trigger the option for Ben Davies' contract, keeping the Welsh defender at the club for an additional season until June the 30th, 2026. Was this part of the Sonny deal? Because Sonny Sonny only triggers something when his best friend does as well. It's quite surprising to me. I know Ben has done really well this season, and every time he's stepped in admirably well. You just look back at the game against Man City, probably his best game in a Spurs shirt. But still, like, he's been at the club for 10 years, and I thought maybe Spurs would be dipping into the market this summer for like a left back or a left centre back. And if Ben Davies is at the club, I can't really see that happening.
I think should be dipping into the market for another one, even if Ben Davies stays, which looks like likely outcome now with him extending his contract. I think if you'd asked a lot of Tottenham fans a month ago, with this news, it would have gotten a different reaction. But in the last month, he's played against Villa and Man City in the Cup, did unbelievably well starting at the Etihad as well. So now there's probably a different feeling around that eventuality of Ben Davies staying. He's obviously done a brilliant job, and also last season, you got to remember, he actually did quite a good job filling in as well at centre back. So I think credit where credit's due. I think he has been an able deputy for Van de Ven when stepping in. Obviously doesn't provide the same things Van de Ven provides, and I do think there's a general feeling among the fan base, at least anyway, that if we do get an opportunity to bring in a younger, faster, more physical player in that position who could suit what Ange wants, there's going to be less anxiety about people like Van de Ven and Udogie getting injured. If we can get like a player, for example, let's say a Calafiori type, who could fill in those positions, who's just got a lot higher ceiling and more potential, that would be the way to go. But there's no doubting, or no denying, I should say, that Davies has been, as Madison puts it, Mr. Reliable over the last couple seasons, or for a while, to be honest. And he never really lets us down. He's never really put in any stinkers, and he's never really one that we can't rely on. But he's also not one where he puts in too many, apart from obviously Saturday was one of them, but doesn't put too many exceptional performances in, not one where he's like a game changer in that position. So I do have mixed feelings about it. I do probably think at his age and where we're at as a squad, it would probably be time to upgrade on that and have someone who can compete for a first team slot there, and even push Udogie and Van de Ven and have someone who's younger with a higher ceiling. But maybe if we're feeling, with the likes of Vuskovic or maybe Phillips coming back next season, or even if we want to give them another year to develop, do we want to sign another centre-back and block their development, and can we just keep Davies for another year, and maybe with a view in a couple years' time having people like Vuskovic and Phillips come into the squad? Maybe that's what they're feeling, and if that's the case, I don't think it's the worst decision, but I do think it's going to lead to a lot of frustration with some fans, and it's going to lead to some fans thinking, is this Tottenham clinging on to older players again, and is this Tottenham going in a cheaper way again when we should be signing another centre-back? So I kind of see both arguments, but I can't sit here and slag off Davies when he's been so good over the past month, so I don't think that would be right.
Yeah, look, you've got to give him credit for the way he's conducted himself on the pitch for the past month, but I don't think that gets away from the fact that we need to, at some point, move on and at some point upgrade that position. And I thought that time was coming this summer. I hope it still does. Maybe triggering an extension as well puts a bit of value on his name. And with the form that he's showing, maybe Spurs feel like they can get a couple of million here or there instead of losing him for free in the summer.
Yeah, it's also maybe an eventuality. I mean, maybe a case because, I mean, if he leaves on a free, obviously we get nothing, and he's a player who's still clearly Premier League quality. So maybe we feel like, why can't we get a few million potentially? But I don't think we extend it unless we're thinking on keeping him, I would think.
Yeah, I mean, I guess it is only one more year, but I just don't want it to hold us back in terms of what we need to do in the summer. And I feel like it might do. That's the only thing. Let's talk about these quotes from Radu and Deki, both talking about the family feel at the club. Radu says, we've been talking a lot about the family, about staying together, sticking together in the tough times. We know we've had a couple of games that we've lost, but we've talked between us and we've said we have to stick together as a team to keep the same feeling between us and believe we can achieve something special. And Deki says, it's the only way to win games is when you play for your family, when you see your guys in danger, when you help them defensively, and when you have the ball. We are a family. No family is perfect, but at least we have to protect each other, and we will protect each other. And both these players talking about the family feel at Spurs. You definitely saw that kind of family feel at the Etihad. But then again, you think to games at Crystal Palace and you think to games at Ipswich where the family feel was kind of lacking. So let's hope that they can use this kind of Man City game as a springboard now.
Yeah, no, they're not the first players to talk about it. Brendan was also talking about it, I think, after the Villa game, about that it definitely seems like more of a family at the moment. And he says that Ange is very strong on that kind of terminology. And he's been very much imprinting that on the squad, that we have to look at each other as family and we have to look at each other as people we can rely on, and we're always going to be there for each other kind of feel. And yes, look, we had bad results against Brighton and Palace and Ipswich, and where we're at as a team at the moment, that might happen on occasion. But you can see, I think in general, when I see some of the training footage, when I see how we are in big moments, I do think everyone's very much on the same wavelength. Everyone is backing each other up, and we just need to make sure, like Deki was saying, in tough times, like, when we're digging in deep against Man City and you need those attacking players to get back in position and fighting for each other and protect that goal. That's where the family feel really comes to the fore. It's not in the good times, it's in the bad times that you really see what we're made of. And so far this season, in the bad times, we haven't been able to overcome that. Albeit there have been some games we've been 1-0 down and been able to turn that around. But there were rumours coming out of during the international break about a falling out and this and that. But from what I've seen, from what the players have been saying, I just don't know how much credibility there was to a lot of those claims. And they've always been speaking about this, how tight-knit they want to be. And obviously it's all about how that happens over the long term. It's easy to do it when you're winning games and over a short period of time, but it's over a long term that's where it really gets determined. So I think the players clearly get on. I think you can see that. It's a young group. They're all growing together. I think they've got a really good leader in Son, who is perfect for encapsulating that kind of atmosphere. So I think that's a really important trait you need in a team, I think.
Yeah, it is an important trait, but they need to show it on a week-to-week basis, not just, in the big games where, you're going to come under pressure, in the Man City games, the Villa games, the Man United games. You need to show it every week, even when you come up against the smaller teams. And I don't think maybe we've done that every single week. So it's something that you need to build towards, I guess. Let's talk about these comments from Ange regarding the goalkeeping situation in the press conference today. He's talking about if Spurs are going to dip into the free agent market, because I know a lot of Spurs fans have been calling for that on social media, and he says it's not going to happen. That's why we've got a squad of players. I don't think signing a free agent helps. Me naming Fraser in the Europa League squad looks like a radical decision now, doesn't it?
And having a pop at some fans, I think.
Yeah, including us.
Yeah.
And then he's also talking about his goalkeepers and how he wants them to play. And he says, I do want them to play out from the back, but I don't want them to be Maldini or Platini. I keep telling our players not to pass back to our keepers because they're the ones with the gloves on. Hitting long kicks is actually more difficult. That's more skilled. Involved. I'm asking them to do short passes. It's more taking away the risk for them and having a structure to make it a clean process. It's just about changing their mindset. Joe Hart was great at Celtic and Fraser has been great here. They're involved in our passing drills and Rob Birch has been working with them for 18 months, not just this week. So what did you make out of those comments?
First of all, when it comes to the free agent, I didn't really expect Tottenham to dip into that market, to be honest. I kind of got the feeling like if they believed there was a keeper on a free who was better than what we got, then we would have them here because they would be available. And they clearly don't because we haven't signed them. When we gave Fraser a new deal last year. So, Ange was the one who gave him a new deal, wasn't he? So I don't think he would have done that for no reason, whether it's because he just likes the influence he's got in the dressing room or he believes he's an able deputy. He decided to do that. So that's his decision. So I don't think he's going to, as soon as there comes a point he has to rely on him, even when he's given him a new contract, he's going to go, actually, I don't think you're any good. I'm going to sign a keeper who no club has or no club wants in the moment. I think he's going to back him. I think he was always going to do that. So I think that makes sense. I think the difference comes in January in terms of signing a new keeper, which he said, interestingly, in his press conference, that the injury to Vicario isn't going to change our plans in January. But he also said when you have an injury to a keeper like Vicario and for the length of time he's out, it is time to step back and look at what you've got and see where you're at. I always think the plan, as a few journalists said, was to bring in a backup keeper anyway, regardless of this injury to Vicario. So when he says, the injury to Vicario hasn't changed our plans in January, I don't think that means we're not signing a goalkeeper, because I think maybe it was always within the plans to sign a keeper anyway. So I wouldn't be surprised if, people take that the wrong way, but I still think there's a good chance we do sign a goalkeeper, because I think that was always on the cards for us. But yeah, I don't think signing Keylor Navas or anything else was anything realistic. But when it comes to what you're saying about playing like that, that's kind of what I was saying yesterday. I think obviously Vicario is quite comfortable with the ball at his feet, and he's really got that little clip out to the fullback. Not mastered, but he's really improving that. He's getting it a lot more consistent. Even with Vicario, though, there's always moments, isn't there, where everyone has their heart in their mouths and we're thinking, we're putting ourselves in danger. But when it comes to how we play with our keepers playing out the back, it is a lot of the time just keeping it simple, short passes to the centre-backs and getting them to build it up. And is Forster capable of doing that? He is. Is Forster capable of doing those little clips out to the full-back or doing anything a bit more complicated? He hasn't shown that on a consistent basis, but I don't think that is absolutely essential for us. What I would say, yes, it's something that can really help us get out of some situations, but it's not like every time we build up from the back, it's from Vicario clipping out to fullback. It does happen a few times a game, but it's not something that is absolutely essential for us. It's something that is nice to have. So it's something that we probably might do without, or maybe it's something that Forster's been working on and with Rob Birch, and it's something that maybe we'll see a bit more once he has a few games for us over the next few months. But when it comes to can Forster do the playing out the back thing, all he has to do is keep it simple, in my opinion, and just get it to whoever, Romero or Dragoshin or Van der Ven, and we're going to have to play through the lines. And hopefully, if it means we have to use a keeper less in build-up, then so be it. But I don't think it's something that should be it might hold us back a little, but I don't think it's something that we can look at. Because we didn't win this game because Vicario or because Forster can play out the back. I don't think that should be a situation.
Yeah, but there is a case to say that we could come under a bit more pressure with Fraser Forster at the back. We've seen it a few times this season where his playing out the back has completely frightened the life out of me. Like that Coventry game springs to mind as well, where we did come under a lot of pressure because of Fraser Forster's playing out the back. And it's not just that as well. It's him from a goalkeeping aspect. Yes, he's made some top saves this season, 100%, not denying it. But there has been occasion or two where you can hit it low and hard to either side of Fraser Forster and he's probably not saving it.
That I don't disagree with.
So there are quite a few flaws in Fraser Forster's game, being the age that he is and the stage of his career that he's at. It's not a surprise. So I think Spurs have to dip into the goalkeeping market in January. I think it's right not to go for a free agent because I don't think there's many free agents out there that are probably going to be better than Fraser anyway. But I think when you're talking about the plans and what the plans are, the plan was always to bring in a keeper, but I feel like maybe if Vicario didn't get injured, they probably would have postponed it till the summer when Fraser's contract was up. But now he is injured for the next 2-3 months, whatever it may be. I think we have to get one in January. We just have to.
Yeah, I think it needs to be brought forward, whatever plans were. I think it should be accelerated. If it means we have to pay a few extra million, I think it could be worth it, because if we can get an upgrade on Fraser and someone who compete for Vicario in the short term, that'll be a much better situation. But I agree with what you're saying. When it comes to shot stopping, I've always had a bit of an issue with Forster. I think if you put it to the side of him or in the corner, a lot of the times he just doesn't get near it and it struggles for him. Now the thing is with Forster, he's a very big guy. So he does cover a lot of the goal, and he's quite good at closing down angles and just basically being hit. So he's still, not the easiest to hit it past. But I feel like with Vicario, he's obviously his reflexes, his flexibility is on another level to Fraser Forster. Fraser Forster struggles to get low down to shots. Anything really in the corner, he struggles to get near, to be honest. And we saw that even Galatasaray. I thought one of the goals Osimhen scored, he just hit it hard and low into the corner, and he couldn't get near it. Fraser Forster, I thought the opening goal was from 30 yards. It wasn't right in the corner even, but he hit it high with power, and Forster should have saved it, and he couldn't get near it. So that is something that's a bit of a worry. So we're going to have to protect him a bit more, make sure that we're cutting off more of the shots than maybe we were with Vicario, and we're going to have to make sure that we're helping him out a lot more than we were with Vicario, and that's unfortunately going to be the case. He is not as good a keeper as Forster. My only point was from the playing out from the back perspective. As much as it is still a worry, it's not as much as a worry it is for me as the other aspects that we're losing with Vicario.
All right, well, there you have it. That is your Tottenham update. Let us know in the comment section below your thoughts regarding all those updates that we've just been through. Let's move on and let's go to our predicted lineup. Ange has been speaking in the press conference, and that injury list is mounting.
Yeah, Romero, I don't think you mentioned Romero, but he wasn't seen in training, so I assume he's still going to be out for tomorrow. Obviously, he said he was a doubt for the game on the weekend. He said he was okay, but they decided to just be extra cautious with him, so they gave him the week off. So that would imply he could have been fit for today, but looks like still not in training, so whether that means he's going to be out for the weekend as well, we'll have to wait and see. Obviously, Van der Ven remains out. Jed Spence is ineligible. Odegaard, Richarlison, a long-term injuries. We're adding Vicario to that as well. Mikey Moore, I don't know if you mentioned him in the presser, but obviously Paul O'Keefe's saying he's going to be out for another 3 weeks at least, so he remains out. And also not on the list is actually Will Lancashire, who's suspended for this game. Got a 1-game suspension, so he's not going to be available for tomorrow night.
All right, just quickly on Cuti Romero, I was having this conversation with someone last night. Do you feel like, for you, not what Ange is going to do, but for you, if Romero is available for the weekend, he comes straight back in, and it's a case of, we just always play our best defender in terms of Cuti Romero? Or do you feel like the performance that Radu showed on Man City should be commended, and maybe he should take the berth for Fulham? I know this isn't a Fulham predicted lineup, but
I think it depends on how they play tomorrow night. If if Davis and Radu are as good as they were on Saturday tomorrow, I'll stick with them. There's no reason not to. They showed they can do it. If one of them lets their standards drop and they're not as good, I think Romero's just got to come back in because he is our best defender. So I think it's about them being able to keep it up. They had a brilliant game on the weekend. They had a brilliant game when they played Villa and City in the Cup as well. But when they played Galatasaray, they both really struggled. And I remember when they played Coventry, they both really struggled. And so I don't think we can sit here and say they've been brilliant every game, but I don't think as well you can disrespect the performance they put in on Saturday. And if they can keep it up on Thursday, I'll stick with them on Sunday.
All right, let's get into this predicted lineup. 4-3-3 as per usual. In goal, we are going for Fraser Forster, but there is a small case for Brandon Austin this game.
There is, but considering Forster we know he's going to be at least playing in the Premier League for the foreseeable. I think it's important to get him up to speed as soon as possible, and that means playing him on Thursday, I would say. Obviously, he's been rotated in Europa League with Vicario, so that would kind of insinuate maybe Austin is going to get some game time in Europa League. I just think it would be silly to do it in this game. I think it's an important game. We need Fraser's experience, and as well, he is going to be in the team for a long stretch of games. So we just need to get him back in the net, get him kind of getting familiar with the team again, because he's going to be in that goal for a consistent period. So I think he has to play tomorrow.
I mean, in terms of him getting familiar with the team, he has had quite a few games this season. It's not like he hasn't seen a minute of football, has it?
Agreed, but I think he needs to be playing. I think we need to realize, like, we know he's going to be our starting keeper, and I think the first game with Vicario injured, he needs to be in. He needs to get as much football with that back line and get for game time as possible, and I think that starts tomorrow, in my opinion.
Right back, we are going to look at Archie Gray. I think he's been pretty good every time he's stepped in, and another big game for him.
Yeah, and obviously probably his toughest test yet, you would say. Well, actually, he played against Galatasaray, but obviously Roma...
Played against Man City as well.
Did play, okay, fine, maybe it's not his toughest test yet, but obviously Roma are a good team. As much as they're not doing well in Serie A, they've still got brilliant players. You look at their squad, El Shawari potentially playing down that side. So, going to be a really good test for him to play against a top-level team, and looking forward to see how he gets on. And I think, Gray has been pretty good whenever he stepped in, so excited to see him again.
Right centre-back will be Radu Dragusin on the back of that brilliant performance at the Etihad.
Yeah, and with Romero not seen in training, it looks like we don't really have another option at the moment. But hopefully he really starts to build his confidence after that performance, because I do think that's something that's been holding him back, especially on the ball anyway. His confidence to be composed and just keep things simple and passing through the lines and things like that. And he did a great job against Man City, and hopefully that can give him this confidence that he's just played Haaland, he's just playing City, I can play against anyone now, and hopefully he keeps that feeling. Yeah,
absolutely. And left centre-back will be the ever-reliable Ben Davies, again off the back of a brilliant performance at the Etihad.
Yeah, and we'll see if he gets that new contract as well off the back of that, and hopefully we know he's Mr. Reliable. But Roma do have some very good forwards. Dovbyk, top goal scorer in La Liga last season. I think he's Roma's top goal scorer this season. Dybala potentially playing in this game as well. He needs no introduction. Tricky customer. So they're going to have their work out for them for sure. But look, we know Ben Davies, he never lets you down. So let's hope it's the same tomorrow.
And then to make up that back four at left back will be Destiny Udogie. I mean, I guess the thinking between siding with Destiny over Porro, I just think Destiny had a much more quiet international break than Pedro Porro, so there's more kind of games in Pedro Porro's legs at the moment.
Yeah, who played the Galatasaray game? It was Porro, wasn't it?
Yeah.
So I think they've kind of been rotating those fullbacks one game each, isn't it? So I feel like Destiny will come in here. Also, he knows obviously the Serie A quite well. He probably knows Roma quite well, so it's probably the best decision to put him in this one. And he did the presser, and as much as is not always...
Well, he's on the every player that's done the press hasn't played yet. Literally, every single one.
Well, Son started against Karabakh, didn't he? But apart from that,
Apart from that, no one started. But anyway, that's the back four. Let's move into number 6. I mean, this one's a no-brainer. It will be Rodrigo Bentancur. This and the Rangers game are the only games that he's eligible for, so he has to play.
Yeah. Exactly, it's the only football he's going to be getting in the next for the next few weeks. So he has to play. Obviously, Basuma put in so much work as well on the weekend. Important for him to rest up, and he's going to be so heavily worked over the next few weeks. So obviously Rodrigo comes in, and he's been playing well, hasn't he? So I've got no problem with him. No worries about him coming in.
Yeah. Moving in to the attacking midfielder positions, we're going to look at Lucas Bergvall up next. We believe he's going to start. He started the majority, if not all, of the Europa League games so far. And I felt like he had a pretty positive, I know he wasn't on for that long, but a pretty positive cameo when he came on at Man City. Yeah, and it's important for him to get game time as well. I think whenever he's played at home, he's been pretty good so far. So hopefully this may be, a really big test for him against what's going to be some real physical midfielders, Paredes in there, Cristante, some real good midfielders that he's going to be up against. So really good test for him to see how he fares against them. But again, he's going to need this game time as much as it's an important game. I think it's important as well for his development. He gets on the pitch. So we're going to go for Lucas Bergvall here. And then to make up that middle three will be James Maddison, we believe, in the middle three. I was thinking about this just now, like maybe it is a case to start Kulusevski, because we all know Kulusevski don't get tired. He's got 3 or 4 lungs. And if James Maddison is going to be playing and starting quite a lot of football, maybe it's worth starting Kulusevski in this game ahead of Maddison. Yeah, I mean, Maddison's been getting a bit more minutes in the centre than Decky in Europa League over the last few weeks, but that's because Maddison's been out of the team. Now he's back in the team. Is it a case of maybe you've got to rotate them a bit as well? If I'm choosing between one player to start on Thursday who's going to start on Sunday, you probably would favour Decky because you kind of back him to recover quicker than someone like Maddison. So maybe it's a case of Maddison, they'll get him, Maddison will give him an hour and then Decky will come on or something like that.
But yeah, we have sided with Maddison just because he has been in general playing more of the games on Thursdays, and he's one of the leaders as well. And with Kuti out, and we're thinking Son might not play. We think we'll probably want one of the leaders in there, so we're going with Maddison.
So that's Bentancur, Bergwijn, and Maddison. However, we do have Fraser Forster in goal, and he's one of the leaders in the squad as well. So
yeah, but in terms of one of the captains.
And I guess Ben Davis was seen as one as well. I guess he's not one of the captains though. But in terms of the forward line, not many options to pick from. But on the right wing, we are going to go for Brennan Johnson.
Yeah, on the bench on the weekend, came on, got half an hour and scored his goal. But given that he didn't start, I think he will start on this one. But his minutes is also going to have to be managed because no Odebear, no Richarlison, obviously no Mikey Moore right now. So we don't really have anyone else on the right. I know Decky played on Saturday, so I expect to see him a bit more there over the next few weeks. But yeah, Brennan, I think, comes back into the start. And obviously, he's on great form. 8 goals now in all competitions. So very close to double figures before even the midway point this season.
Yeah.
So, you know, he's got to be looking at that 15 to 20 mark at this point.
Well, with the way he's going, there's no reason why not. Big Dom Solanke up top. We got no other striker in the squad. I mean, we got Sonny who can't play there, but I feel Sonny will be given a rest in this game.
Yeah, and it's unfortunate with Will Lancashire as well because he got his goal against Galatasaray, and with that goal, maybe that could have earned him another start, but given the red card, unfortunately, that's not the case. So Solanke has to play, and look, with it being an important game, I think there's always a chance Solanke would have started anyway. But yeah, we need to make sure we get the job done here. So I think we have to go Big Dom.
And then last but not least, on the left-hand side, we are going to go for Turbo Tebow. Great cameo against Manchester City, pretty much ending Kyle Walker's career. And let's hope he can have another good performance here. Yeah,
there were some slight worries about Timo because after that assist, he did look like he was in a bit of pain after when he set up Johnson on Saturday. But Ange says he's come through okay. I was watching some of the training videos and he seems to be part of it. So seems to be absolutely fine. And I think credit where credit's due for Timo. I think last few weeks he's actually been not bad. Scored against City.
Yeah, because it's been international break, he hasn't had to play.
No, I'm saying last few appearances scored against Man City, got an assist against Man City on the Saturday. I thought against Ipswich he was quite bright when he came on as well. So he's actually been providing recently off the bench and even when he started. So hopefully he can carry on that form going into this game and get a bit of confidence because we know Timo with a bit more confidence can definitely do a bit more than when he's on low confidence. So hopefully he keeps that good feeling.
Yeah. Let's go through that lineup with you guys one more time. And it's Fraser Forster in goal, Archie Gray at right back, Destiny Udogie at left back, centre-back pairing of Radu and Ben Davis. Bentancur, Maddison and Bergwijn make up the middle three with Brennan Johnson on the right, Timo Werner on the left and Big Dom Solanke up top. That is our predicted lineup to take on Roma at the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium tomorrow night. Yeah, it's going to be a big one, guys. It is going to be a big one. Let's hope for 3 points, and it's very much needed, to be honest. It really is. But look, let's get into the match preview. It is, again, Tottenham against Roma. Roma not coming into the best of forms, but they have just had a new manager change. Claudio Ranieri has taken the helm. If you bring up their form, this is the form that they're on at the moment. Very up and down, or more down than up, should I say. Particularly that away form. Look at that, 3 losses and 2 draws in their last 5 away games. However, Spurs on a very good run of form at home, barring the last game against Ipswich. Before that, we were on a run of 4 straight wins. I think 7 games in a row we've won and not conceded in the Europa League as well. So the form books is definitely there for Spurs at home. And I think this is really important for a couple of reasons. First of all, there's the Europa League table. We're sitting now 7th in the table because of that loss against Galatasaray, right? Only 1 or 2 points outside the top 8 now, which is mad to think about, where you've won the first 3 games and 1 loss puts you in like a bit of a precarious situation. So we need to get back to winning ways in the Europa League to really solidify our place in that top 8. We got a tough one in Rangers away next as well. So 2 really tough games now in the Europa League. So it's important for that aspect, but it's also really important just to keep this momentum and run going. We've just beaten Man City on the back of a defeat against Ipswich. The form has been so up and down. we just need to get 2 wins in a row and really start to go on a run now with Fulham on the weekend. So I think that these are the 2 aspects why this game is actually so important.
Definitely. And I think when it comes to Europa League, we know it's an important competition for us. This is a competition that a lot of fans are looking at, and we want to go through, we want to win well. We're one of the favourites for this tournament. So I think it's important that we try and finish as high as possible. And you can't take any of it for granted. You can't. I know we won the first 3, but if we lose this game, all of a sudden that's 3 wins and 2 losses, and all of a sudden, you're in a bit of a dogfight to even get in that top 8, and which is where we should be. When it comes to being in the top 24, you would think 1 more win and you should be okay for the top 24. So I'm not too worried about that. But I think it's very important we get in that top 8. We don't, given the injuries we have and all these different things, we don't want that extra game. If we can go directly into the last, I think it's last 32, or was it last? I don't know.
Last 16.
If we can go directly into the last 16, yeah, it is last 16. That would be really valuable for us, and so we don't have to stretch the squad even more than it needs to be. So I think this is very important. Roma, whatever you want to say about them, they've got good players, and they are a Serie A team. Any team in the Serie A is always going to be very difficult to play against. This is not going to be like playing against Karabag, Ferencvaros, and who else did we beat? And RZ. It's not going to be like playing these teams. This is a different level. They play top teams week in, week out. They've got some top players in there. They got, as I say, they got the top goal scorer in La Liga last season in Dovbyk. They've got a potentially world-class player who might be getting on a bit, but in Dybala, Cristante, really solid midfielder. Leandro Paredes, Champions League experience, World Cup winner. Look at their centre-backs. Ndika. Tottenham wanted Ndika at one point. Mancini. Italian caps he has.
Mats Hummels there as well.
Mats Hummels experience. Angelino was a very good left back in the Bundesliga for Leipzig.
Zeki Celik, Cristante.
Yeah, so that's a team that shouldn't be 12th in Serie A. So there's no surprise to me that Daniele De Rossi has been sacked, because that team should be challenging for the top 6, I think, when you look at the quality they have. So
wasn't it Italiano that got sacked?
It was De Rossi, no?
I thought it was De Rossi before Italiano. Or maybe Italiano was the interim manager.
Yeah, it must have been, because De Rossi took over from Mourinho, didn't he? Unless they had another manager in between?
I can't remember. Maybe someone can let us know in the comment section, because I thought it was Italiano that got sacked, but I might be wrong. On that.
Well, De Rossi was definitely manager at the start of the season.
Yeah.
So maybe they've had 2 managers already. So clearly there's a lot of chaos going on, if that's the case. But obviously Ranieri's come in, and what's interesting, as I've been looking into Roma, and they definitely have a case of having a lot of possession, and they but in terms of beginning of the season, they were definitely a team looking to be on the front foot.
So De Rossi got sacked in September. So they must have sacked their next manager as well.
So they've had 2 managers already, so they've had a lot of chaos there. This time last year was Mourinho, wasn't it? And they must have sacked him in like November time. So who's Italiano? I don't know who Italiano is.
Vincenzo Italiano. I don't know who he is, but he just got sacked. He used to be the Bologna manager or something.
I see. It couldn't have been, because Bologna got top 4, didn't? Oh, was it Bologna?
No, he is the Bologna manager. So who's the Italiano that got sacked? Maybe it's a different Italiano.
I don't know, but I know that before Ranieri came in, they were looking to be a team that dominates the ball. They were looking to be a team that is on the front foot.
Juric was their manager, not Italiano.
Okay. But I think Ranieri is going to make them a bit more pragmatic. I think his first game was away at Napoli on the weekend. They lost 1-0.
They played very well.
It looks like, from the stats, it looks like Napoli deserved to win, but looks like they had a late rally and they nearly did nick a point near the end.
No, I was reading a report on the game, and they said that they put in a real big effort, Roma, because obviously they're massive underdogs in that game against Napoli, going away to Antonio Conte's side. And they defended so well, man, like really well, like a proper Italian side. And if they defend like that against us, there's going to be problems.
From what I can see, Napoli had 2 XG to Roma's 0.58. So it looks like Napoli still probably deserved the win. But Ranieri is obviously bringing a much more pragmatic style. That's how we won the league at Leicester, wasn't it? Playing a counter-attacking team, making sure you're defensively solid, and then making use of those transitional moments. And those are kind of teams we do struggle against a lot more. And then you've got the quality there, as we've read out their team. Some really good players, some really good transitional players. People like Shawari as well. Lorenzo Pellegrini, what a brilliant player he is in the middle of the park. He's one who could easily be playing for a team like us for sure. He's got a lot of quality quality there. So I think they're going to be filling their midfield with a lot of hard-working players, a lot of players who make a lot of tackles, and a lot of players who are very strong and aggressive. So we're going to have to match that. And I think this is going to be a lot more difficult game than maybe what the on-paper form and stuff suggests, in my opinion. As much as we're favourites, I think when it comes to how much quality they've got, it's going to be a really tough game.
Yeah, I completely agree with that. I completely agree. And they're going to want to show what they're about, under the lights at a big stadium like Tottenham, playing against English opposition. They're going to be bang up for this one, and Claudio Ranieri will bang it into them how hard they need to work. And with a new manager, they're going to be working doubly as hard as they were if we might have played them like in the last round. So maybe we're catching them at a bit of a bad time, Roma, but we've got more than enough quality to go and win this game. I have no doubt about it. If you look at, this was the lineup I think they played last game, or maybe the predicted lineup. If you look at Zalewski as well on the left-hand side, he's a top player. I really like him. Salamakers and Shomurodov being injured is probably a bit of a plus for them, because they're big players for them. But it is a team stacked full of talent. It really is. I mean, Evan Ndika, a lot of people wanted him at Spurs a couple of years ago. I think he went there on a Bosman under Jose Mourinho. So, yeah, like my brother said, they are stacked full of talent. And Paulo Dybala, I mean, it's just written in the stars for him to come to Tottenham and score as well. He, after all the fiasco all those many years ago when Spurs nearly signed Dybala and didn't go through for one reason or another because of, what was it, because of paperwork or some crap that we didn't sign Dybala, you just know it's written in the stars, and so everyone can in the stadium go, I knew we should have signed him.
Yeah, he actually hasn't been starting the last few games. They started Dovbyk on the weekend. I think they will start Dovbyk there again. And I think he will probably be on the bench, but he could come on and do something. I wouldn't be surprised. Yeah,
Dybala's been injured. When he has been starting, I'm not even sure it's been up front. I think it might be in the number 10. Maybe it is up front, but I think he maybe plays in the number 10 a bit as well for them.
Yeah, I don't expect him to start though, because I think when their game plan, I think for people like Dybala, he's kind of one of those players where you need to carry him a bit. He's not the hardest worker, and he's not the one of those players who's going to be making sure he's digging in defensively. I think that's what Ranieri's going to want to bring first and foremost to this team. So I feel like whether he's fit or not, I don't think he starts. I think they go probably Pellegrini in the 10 with Dovbyk up front, because those ones have got the physical attributes he needs. But as you say, Sula, a lot of Tottenham analysts looking at him. Apparently, he was brilliant last season in Serie A. As much as maybe this season it hasn't gone that well for him just yet. But last season, he was one of the best youngsters in Serie A. A lot of people were looking at Matthias Sula, very tricky winger on the right-hand side. El Shawari's been around for a long time. He's a player who's always got quality, and you can never know what he's going to bring. Kone has been brilliant this for Roma as well. And they've just got players like, as you say, Cristante, Paredes. It's just a lot of talent there that should not be 12th in Serie A.
Paredes in that midfield, you're in for a dogfight.
Exactly. You saw how he was in the World Cup for Argentina, how aggressive he can be. So really, really brilliant player. And I'm a big fan of Lorenzo Pellegrini. I think he's so good technically, and he's also got those attributes. I think he's got attributes to be a top player, Pellegrini. I feel he's one of those players. He's very loyal to Roma. He's been there for a while. I feel like if he moved to a top club, he would be seen in a different light, I reckon.
Looking at the head-to-head between Spurs and Roma, I mean, they've won in the only two times that they've come here in the Europa League. A 1-0 win, a 3-2 win. And
is this Europa League? I think these must be friendlies, no?
4-1. 3-2 was actually a friendly.
No, these are... Oh, no, yeah, go on.
Actually, they're all friendlies.
Yeah, I was about to say, we haven't played them.
Yeah, they're all friendlies.
They're all friendlies.
They're all friendlies.
Yeah, I was about to say, we haven't played them.
It's not Europa League, but either the 1-0...
We didn't include the 5-0 when Darren Bent scored a hat-trick?
Yeah, where's the 5-0?
Where's the 5? So, yeah, not a great record in friendlies.
Actually, the 5-0's not even showing up here either.
Shocking. Scrubbed from history. I remember it well. David Bentley got on the score sheet.
That was David Bentley's first game.
Yeah, everything looked rosy at that point.
Was that someone was making their debut that game? I can't remember who it was.
Or maybe De Santos.
Was it Spurs in the? No, it wasn't Spurs in the chocolate kit.
Yeah, we were at home.
Kit.
We played in the chocolate kit. Yeah.
Yeah. I was at that game.
We played under 1-0. No, was it chocolate or black? Maybe it was a black kit we had back then. I think it was a black kit. But we beat them 5-0. Bent scored a hat-trick. Bentley got one. I think Dos Santos got one as well. And I was like, it was the first game before the start of the season, and everyone was like, oh my God.
2 points from 8 games.
Even though we had just sold Keenan Berbatov, and then we had that, everyone was like stressing, and then we had that game, we're like, oh my God, actually, maybe we'll be all right. And then, 2 points from 8 games didn't actually mean anything, but that was a great day. Yeah, I can't remember if we've ever played Roma competitively in my lifetime.
Well, clearly not. What was the game that we went to out in Haifa? Was that 1-0?
Yeah, we lost 1-0 when we played against Mourinho.
And I remember watching that game, just being so impressed by Zalewski out on the left-hand side, because he's so fast, such a tricky customer. And if we're not on our game, he's going to give probably Archie Gray a really torrid time. And Archie Gray's got to stand up to that, because he's got quality as well. So he's someone that we need to look out for. But look, like we keep saying, they've got a team stacked full of talent. They're going to come. They're going to come with a bit of a new kind of vibe to them because of the new manager Claudio Ranieri. His third time as Roma manager. Claudio Ranieri.
Keep going back, don't they?
It's just mad.
But they are 20th in the Europa League table, so they are really desperate for points. They're only 2 points.
They're going to be scrapping for everything.
Sorry, they're 1 point away from the elimination spots. So they definitely know what a massive game this is for them. They have they're gonna come here full strength. They're not coming here resting players and thinking, we can change the squad and rotate. They're coming here. It's going to be Ranieri's second game in charge. They're going to come here full strength. They're going to come here knowing this is a massive game when it comes to their future in this competition. So make no bones about it. This is going to be a massive game for them. They're going to be on their A game.
Yeah, and it's a massive game for us as well. Don't get it twisted. We are sitting 7th. We need to be in those top 8 spots come the end of this group. And with us playing Roma now and Rangers in the next 2 games, we've got Hoffenheim and Elfsborg to finish off. We've actually got 3 kind of fairly tough games in the next 3, with the toughest coming in the next 2. Rangers away. Whatever form Rangers are on in the SPL, under the lights at Ibrox in Europe, they're going to be bang at it. And I think Roma are going to come and be bang at it at Tottenham tomorrow as well. So Spurs need to come into it with a really good mentality. We need to take that kind of vibe from the Man City game and relay it on the pitch at Tottenham, because you look at the last couple of games in the Europa League, we haven't been that good. You look at the 3-2 away at Galatasaray. First half it could have been 5 or 6 down, if not more. You look at the AZ game. First half there was a really lackluster. Mikey Moore obviously coming and performing really well in the second half, but it wasn't the greatest performance from Spurs that day. So last couple of games in the Europa League haven't been that great from Spurs. So we need to be back at it.
Yeah, I know it's hard to take conclusions from Roma's other Europa League games because there will be a big change here, but their last couple away from home, they drew 1-1 to USG. They beat Kiev 1-0 in the one before that. They then lost 1-0 away to Elfsborg in what is probably a very embarrassing result for them, but they did draw 1-1 at home to Athletic Bilbao as well, so that's not a terrible result. But yeah, Elfsborg is the one we're saying is an easier one, but they beat Roma, so can never take that for granted either. But this is going to be a scrap. I think I can see Tottenham having a lot of difficulty here, especially if we are going to change as much as we're suggesting we might change. Albeit, when we're actually looking at it, in terms of changes, only Bergvall and Gray are players which wouldn't regularly feature in our first 11. So it's not those are the 2 ones, but they are, at the end of the day, 2 teenagers going to come up against a lot more experienced, more aggressive, physical players. So it's going to be interesting to see how they adapt to that. Well, part of me feels like, is this a game for them to have kind of feelers for, or is it a game that we just need to play our strongest team and get through and get the win? And then we can maybe rest them, maybe give them game time in future games, because this is an important game.
Yeah, there is a good case for that, because it could be a case of put out your strongest team, win the game, go beat Rangers in a couple of weeks' time with a strong team as well, and that's top 8 done. And then in the last few games against Hoffenheim and against Elfsborg, you can rotate a bit, but you're also coming into the busiest period of the year now with games every 4 days. So,
and also knowing next week we have a midweek Premier League game.
Every game we have midweek games.
I'm saying the midweek Premier League game, I don't envisage Bergvall and Gray to play in that game. So we know that whoever's playing on Sunday is most likely going to have to play again on Thursday, and then again we have another game on Sunday, and again I don't envisage Gray or Bergvall to be starting those games. So when is another opportunity for them to get that game time, or even not even necessarily just for them to get game time. It's more when is there going to be another opportunity to just rest a few people. There's not too many opportunities.
The next opportunity is Rangers.
Yeah, so I think we're going to have to we're kind of stuck to play them in this game.
Our next few midweek games, so we've got Roma, Bournemouth away, which is going to be such a hard game, Rangers away, and then Man United at home.
And Chelsea.
Chelsea midweek?
Oh, you're talking about just midweek?
Yeah.
Yeah. No, it's not midweek. I thought you were talking about
I'm just talking about the midweek games.
Yeah.
So, yeah, those are the midweek. Those are all our midweek games before the Liverpool game. So, out of all those games, the only time that we can rest players is probably the Europa League games. Because I know in the Man City game in the Carabao Cup, he played Archie Gray at right back. Do you think he does that in a quarter-final against Man United?
I mean, there'll be pelters if he does and we lose. That's the truth.
But there would have been pelters if we lost against City.
And we won. It's fair enough. That's fair enough. So I think Ange is brave enough probably to do it, I would say.
Yeah. I think Ange believes in these players a lot, the young players. Particularly Archie Gray. I feel like he believes in Archie Gray a lot.
I guess the difference is Man City, rested a few players, while Man United do that. They're probably going to go into that game full strength, aren't they?
Yeah, that's also true. But Man United full strength is probably weaker than the Man City weakened team.
Yeah, but it's going to be interesting to see how the Ranieri effect, changes things. Is it just going to be another manager who comes in trying to change their fortunes and he goes the same way as the last two managers?
Before.
Yeah, I know. So I feel like whatever one say about Ranieri, he hasn't, since Leicester, he has been a bit rubbish. He's had a lot of jobs, which none of them he's been in for any extended period of time. He seems to lose his job pretty quickly in a lot of them.
Oh my God, he's been in so many jobs.
That's what I'm saying. It's crazy.
He went to Nantes in France between June 2017 to June 2018, so 1 year. 41 games. I think it's 15 wins, which is not great. Then he went to Roma, 2019, March to May.
Yeah, we went to Fulham as well for what? 3
Fulham
months?
In between then, yeah, for 3 months, from November to February. Then Roma, March to May. Then Sampdoria, he was there.
What was his record last at Roma?
12 games, 6 wins,
4 draws and 2 losses.
And 2 losses.
Okay, not the worst, but
not the best either.
Not the best, no. Only 17 goals scored, yeah.
Sampdoria, 2019 to 2021. This was his longest stint. 72 games, 27 wins, 13 draws and 32 losses. Then
great.
Watford, 14 games, 2 wins, 11 losses. Cagliari, from January to May, 65.
18 months, is that? 18 months, yeah.
Yeah, from January till the end of the next season. 65 games, 22 wins, 22 losses and 21 draws. No, 22 draws and 21 losses.
Yeah.
And then this Roma, he's had 1 game, 1 loss.
But he's very much a manager who doesn't build things, does he? He's very much there for short term. But do you really get even a short term bounce with him? I don't even know. Like Leicester is very much an outlier in recent years for him. He's been a manager for a very long time. You got to remember 2002, he was manager of Chelsea, wasn't he? 2003, he was a manager before Jose. So he's been in management for so long, Ranieri. And
he retired.
He retired and came back.
He retired literally after the Cagliari job or something.
And he's come back. We can't turn down Roma.
Yeah, and then Roma put out the word, and he's like, I'm there.
So as much as it is a new manager and all this kind of stuff, it's also Ranieri. Is he a manager who gets too much out of his...
It is, but on a one-off game, particularly in his second game in the job, the players are going to fight for him, particularly when they look at the league table in the Europa League. I don't think the manager will make an impact in terms of setting up the team and the playing style and all that kind of stuff. But in terms of the fight on the pitch, the players are going to show that fight on the pitch tomorrow, just because of the circumstances I've just announced. So
yeah. I think you're right, and this what I'm about to say probably has no bearing on what might happen tomorrow, but I doubt he lasts the season.
Yeah, maybe not.
Yeah.
But yeah, I agree. It doesn't have a bearing on tomorrow, because I think tomorrow you just know that they're going to be bang at it. But even if they are bang at it, we've got more than enough quality within the team, even in the predicted lineup that we spoke about before, to go and win this game.
We do. We know we're going to come into this as favourites. For sure, and the way as well we play, there's an opportunity we could blow them away in the opening half an hour or something and be, wouldn't be surprised if we're, 2-0 up or something in the first 20, 30 minutes and just blow them away because they're going to be sitting deep. And it's sometimes when you're doing that and you get opened up and we take our chances, it's hard to flip that and it's hard to change that way of playing. So that could happen. But as well, if we don't take chances or we're not opening them up early on, the more they grow into that game, it might be difficult to break them down, and they might be, I think that midfield battle is going to be crucial because I think that's where their quality is in that midfield, and if we're going to play Bergvall there, are we at risk of losing that midfield battle? There's a chance.
Yeah, but I still back the boys, and I think we can do it. I think Bergvall in himself, I know he's 18 and maybe he is a little lightweight, but he has got that aggressive edge to him as well. Maybe that's another reason why we should be playing Kulusevski instead of Maddison as well. But even Maddison in his own right, he still drops deep and mucks in for the team. But I think to maybe guide Bergvall through the game a bit more, maybe Kulusevski with his physical nature, he can contest enough duels for 2 players, if not 3. So maybe it's a case of Bentancur, Kulusevski and Bergvall.
Yeah, I think I wouldn't be surprised if he's thinking, I need to play my strongest team here because you can't take this game for granted. Like, we can't lose this game. It's actually really important we don't lose this game.
Yeah.
So I think he might think ahead of time. Like, as much as he could afford to rest players against the likes of Karabag and RZ and all these teams, I don't know, can he do it against Roma? Can he afford to rest players and get a win?
You say, we rested players against Man City in the Carabao Cup and came away with a win.
Yeah, but we didn't start Bergvall. But I guess we started Gray. We did start Gray, but yeah, we did, and we did get the win in that one. So maybe we can do it.
I think. But
it was a different game, wasn't it? We had to be a bit more compact. We had to defend a lot. This one we're on the front foot. We're going to be open a lot, and that means the players have to be very much on it when it comes to picking locks instead of exploiting transitions and spaces like against City. Yeah,
it's true. But all will be revealed tomorrow, won't it? What's your score prediction?
I am going to go 2-2.
2-2.
2-2. I have a feeling we're not going to win this one, to be honest. I don't think a draw, in terms of what a draw would do for us, it puts us on 10 points. It does put us, one more step towards getting into the knockouts. It might mean we do drop out temporarily of the top 8 of this game week if we do get a draw. But, well, actually, would it? Because if we get a draw, you would need, in terms of goal difference, we're +4. There's a chance we might not drop out of the top 8, even if we draw, I would say. But if we lose, we probably will.
We most likely will, because one of Midtjylland, Bodo, Olympiacos, Rangers, and Lyon have to win by a certain margin. I'm sure one of them will.
No, 2. 2 of them. You'd have FCB.
Well, no, FCB can go above us with just a win in general.
With a draw.
Yeah.
But they would have to draw, and then one of Lyon, Rangers, Olympiacos, Bodo, Glimt, and Midtjylland would have to win by at least 2 goals.
Yeah.
So it's not that unlikely that we draw and still remain in the top 8. But
FCSB are actually playing Olympiacos.
So that means even more unlikely then.
Yeah.
So I think a draw is not the end of the world. I think a loss would be very bad, but I think a draw is not terrible. Keeps us ticking over points wise, and I think it's a very tough game against Roma. They need the points as well. So I just got a feeling when if we do rest players anyway, that they're just going to be on it, and it's going to be hard for us to win it. So I'm going for a 2-2 draw.
I'm confident going into it. If this game was out in Italy, I'd be a lot less confident because you're going into the Lions Den there in Roma. But because it's at home, I believe that we're going to get the win. And I'm going to go for I think it'll be tight, but I think maybe we might run away with it a little bit towards the end when Roma are chasing the game a bit. So I'm going to go 3-1 to Spurs.
3-1.
3-1. I'm backing the boys. I'm staying confident. Maybe it's a bit deluded to think we can win 2 games in the space of a week. But this is where we're at the moment. We've just beaten Man City, so the feelings are good in the studio. So I'm going 3-1. Sim is going for 2-2. We'll be on the watch along tomorrow night, so come and join us. 8 o'clock kickoff. We'll be going live about 15 minutes beforehand. And yeah, very much looking forward to it, guys. So we'll see you all tomorrow. Like, subscribe, and comment. And as always, come on, you Spurs.